you have a lot of money, a lot of assets. How can you protect your family and, create wealth for your future? So it's always been a thing for me that, finance and wealth strategies and things like that.
Having your money work for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so
welcome to Loans Elevated, the podcast that brings you the latest industry news, expert interviews, and insightful discussions that will help you stay ahead in this dynamic market. I'm your host, Broch Lassig, and I've spent years in the trenches of the mortgage industry, helping individuals and businesses navigate the complex landscape of real estate financing.
I'm your co-host, TJ Heidenreich, and together, we'll cover a wide range of topics, from business strategies that skyrocket your success to mindset and motivation that fuel your growth. Welcome back to another episode of Loans Elevated. Today, we've got a special guest, Manny Vieites. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me on, bro. We've been talking about it for like a while now.
Yeah,
so glad that we finally sat down.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. So Manny is a trust and estate planning attorney. Tell me, how'd you get into that? Give me a little bit of your background.
Okay. It's a long background. So I'm a huge sports guy. Started off wanting to be a sports agent. And so I decided to go to law school to be a sports agent. Went to University of Miami, School of Law. And what really interested me there was just the financial side of being a lawyer and all the implications that come with, because I was in the lens of representing an athlete. And I was saying, okay, like when you're an athlete, what do you need? You have a lot of money, a lot of assets. How can you protect your family and create wealth for your future? So it's always been a thing for me that finance and wealth strategies and things like that.
Having your money work for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so in law school, I kind of really honed in on just basically estate planning. And so estate planning is trusts, wills, asset protection. Okay. And so during law school, I kind of focused on that as well as doing like sports law programs and things like that. And so once I became an attorney, I actually became an attorney here in Utah. Moved here. For a little while, I was doing family law at the firm I was at. And then now we are completely shifting into a different direction where I'm leading the estate planning and asset protection department. Yeah, man, it really just comes down to the simple fact that I really like to help families and help people with wealth create strategies for their future to protect their future families and leave something for, that like, because people will work for something their whole entire life. And why does it have to end when you pass away? Right. And why do your children or anyone else that you work hard for don't get to reap those benefits for the rest of their life as well? Right. And so those are the type of strategies that I do for our clients, and ranging from clients that just have one home to clients who have 10 rental properties, or multiple businesses. Sure. So I love that. Yeah. So estate planning is a wide range of things.
So a lot of people that listen or watch this show are either real estate agents and current homeowners or future homeowners. Why is it important to have a trust or a will if you are a homeowner or looking to be a homeowner? Why do you want that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. That's a lot of our clients, right? So first I'll just talk about kind of what an estate plan is basically, right? Yeah. So an estate plan is going to consist of basically 4 different things, right? You're going to have your trust or your will. You're going to have your powers of attorney, which are your durable power of attorney, and your healthcare power of attorney. Okay. And then also your advanced healthcare directives. And so I'll walk through each of them. But to start with the low-hanging fruit, like power of attorneys, right? A durable power of attorney is someone who makes your financial decisions for you if you become incapacitated, or if you pass, or if when you're about to pass away. And so getting that set is like crucial, right? Especially if you have money in crypto and you're running businesses, you got to have someone that can manage your things for you. Right. The healthcare one is just the one that's going to say, hey, it's going to represent your wishes the way you want to. Gotcha. And it's going to say, hey, doctor, do XYZ things for my mom or whatever, and you could designate that person while you're still alive. And then the healthcare directives are like the HIPAA authorizations. So say for instance, you're someone that you're friends with got sick, right? And you were trying to go find something out for them in the hospital. And you go to the desk, and they won't give you that information unless you're one of their authorized HIPAA authorization people. Gotcha. So we do those things as well. Those are those are just the add-ons to what what a estate plan is, right? But then the meat and potatoes of it is your trust, right? And so back to your question, the trust is where you would put all your assets in, anything that's of value that you want to pass down to your next generation or to your kids or your friends or whoever you want to be in there. I don't really like to talk about wills because I don't really do too many wills because I'm a little against them. But so we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah, and so but with like the real estate aspect of it, when you have clients, right, who have multiple houses, right, or you're dealing with someone who likes to, or is in the Airbnb business, or likes to have a whole bunch of rentals, or has duplexes and things like that. If someone gets hurt on one of their properties, right, and they don't have that asset protected within an LLC, right, if something happens there, the person who was injured can go after everything that person owns.
Gotcha.
If
not just what right.
Yeah, not just that property, right? So what I recommend, where it comes in handy for real estate agents, is that if you're dealing with a client who has a lot of assets and wants to buy multiple properties, you got to get those properties within their singular LLCs.
So for every property you purchase, you have an LLC for that property, whether it's an Airbnb, long-term investment, exactly the same, and then have the trust be the owner of that LLC.
Yes, so I mean there's multiple flavors and levels to it, right?
Yep.
I don't recommend an asset protection, trust, and business planning for everybody, because obviously some people don't have the assets for it. Just if we're going really, let's say someone has, let's use the example, someone has $20 million worth of real estate assets, right? And they have 3 separate real estate properties.
Yep.
Each one of those real estate properties should be in their own separate LLC.
Gotcha.
Right? And to increase the amount of protection and to create the anonymous factor that, hey, I don't own any, I don't really own this.
You can't see the other assets they have.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
In order for that to happen, you need to then create a Wyoming holding LLC.
Gotcha.
And I use Wyoming particularly because they have great privacy laws where you can't see the members or the managing members of that LLC.
Gotcha.
So if a creditor were to look you up, you literally cannot see who was a part of that. With other states, you are required to say, every state varies.
And so you can have, even if you're purchasing in other states, you can still have that living in Wyoming.
So I'll go into more detail about that. So you would want to create your Wyoming LLC. It's like a holding LLC.
Okay.
And then say you have a Utah property, you have a Nevada property, you have California property. You're going to want to create an LLC within that specific state for that property.
Okay.
But then who's owning that property is going to be that Wyoming holding LLC. And so I can get into even more specifics, but the people that are going to be owning those LLCs and in those California, Nevada, or Utah states, it's like the managing members are not going to be yourself. It's going to be your attorney, and the registered agent is going to be your attorney or whoever else, but not you.
Gotcha.
And so that's how you get around that. I mean, that's a high level way of doing things. And then the gist of it is that Wyoming holding LLC that has all of your real estate LLCs basically attached to it is then owned by the trust.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
It's really like a tree.
There's some layers to it.
It's pretty complicated if you're not doing it constantly, but it's that needed protection, it's that extra layer.
Right,
so.
For sure. Now I actually have a story about that. One of my past clients, he had an Airbnb, and he had a basketball hoop at the Airbnb, and when they were trying to raise and lower it, one of the tenants at the time, they were renting it out, they had a finger injury from raising and lowering the hoop, and he did not have it in any form of LLC or anything, and a high wealth individual, and he spent a ton in fees just because of what he was liable for. Yeah. So just doing your homework up front is crucial if you're looking even for investment properties, even your primary residence.
Oh yeah.
It's huge. And also, I know you're not a tax attorney by any means, but there's also tax incentives. You can avoid step-up tax when you pass and you're trying to pass your assets to your kids, which will just make their life so much easier as well.
Yeah, and that's why I recommend a trust, because and especially if you have multiple businesses, because there's ways to get around, especially if you're a high net worth individual, you can do different charitable organizations. Gotcha. Things like that, or when you have your businesses within a trust, you could basically just hand them off to your kid once you pass away, as opposed to being hit with multiple different types of taxes and potentially those businesses and those assets not going to your kids if you did not have anything.
Gotcha.
Right, and so
is that why we don't like wills? So let's dive into that a little bit.
So my whole thing with wills goes like this, right? So you have your trust in a will. Most people, I don't blame them. They don't know what the difference is, right? It's they're like buzzwords to people. They don't, they just understand that, hey, if I have one, I'm going to be able to decide who gets what when I pass, which is true in part. But the reason why I recommend trust over a will is because trust avoid probate. And so when you have a will still has to go through probate, and probate is where where when you pass away, the court it's a probate court, and the court's going to have to look at your will, and then they're going to be the ones deciding what beneficiaries get what, but to your wishes, right? But that process, it revolves around, like, the only people that make money during that are the lawyers and the court.
Gotcha.
Right? And for some people who don't have a lot of assets, I mean, they're
it's
gonna
all
because not
dry by the time
exactly, and so, like, sometimes it gets really messy. Like, you could see how it could get messy if there's a massive big family. Someone feels like they're left out.
If there's already family drama beforehand, it can only amplify that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, say for instance they come into my office asking for a will. At the end of the day, like, they're still gonna, if I do give them a will, they're still gonna have to pay for, their family's gonna have to pay for an attorney when they go to probate.
Right. And
then whoever else is gonna have to pay for an attorney, they're gonna have to pay the court, XYZ things. But with a trust is like a contract.
Right.
And so where, yes, you do have to go to the county and put, your house into the trust and things like that. But once your trust is efficiently funded, which means the assets are put into the trust, you really have nothing to worry about if it's done correctly.
Gotcha.
It skips the probate process entirely. And so that's why I recommend trust over wills.
So how hard is it? The trust is always changeable. Like, what I mean by that, you acquire a new property. How easy is it to just throw it into the trust?
Oh yeah. So that's why I love trust too, because I mean it's called a living trust. So when you're the grantor, say you make a trust right now, it revolves around three main components, right? You have a grantor, which is the person that creates it. Yep. And then you have a trustee, which is the person who manages the trust.
Gotcha.
Which I recommend that being a third party, not one of your kids, for obvious conflict reasons. Then you have your beneficiaries, which are your kids or your friends or whoever you want to benefit from the trust. During your lifetime, as being a grantor, you can serve as the grantor, the trustee, and the beneficiary during your whole entire lifetime.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right, and so that means you have full entire control during your whole entire life. The good thing about a living trust is that you can make changes up until I
can add stuff in, I can take stuff out if need.
Exactly. And so we have a lot of clients like that now where they created a trust, 15 years ago, but then, like, you fast forward 15 years, they don't talk to one of the people that were in their trust. They don't have that other house anymore that was originally in there. They don't have their retirement accounts anymore. They cashed them out. Whatever may be, whatever originally funded that trust is not there. Right. And so they need the trust updated. And so those are things that I do as well. It's constantly evolving, right? Yeah. And so that's the benefit of having one, is that it's revocable during your whole entire lifetime. And so there are irrevocable trusts, which are a little bit different, which I don't really recommend for most cases. Yeah. Sometimes they have different tax benefits as for high net worth people, but I don't recommend anyone doing one if they're just trying to move things around and are making significant amounts of money.
For sure. No, it makes sense. Common question I get too, and is I got people trying to buy their houses or do a loan in a trust. Now, what people need to understand is there needs to be someone that backs the loan that's on the actual note. So we'll do the loan in your name, and then at title, they'll do a quit-claim deed into the trust. And it's fairly cheap. I don't know exactly what it is to do so, but you yourself need to be on the actual note, and then later on, you'll deed it to the trust. And then next, and we kind of touched on this, expand on liability that may come up, even if it's not an Airbnb, but also long-term. You want every property you own in a trust for liability, even if it's an investment property, long-term, for the same reasons?
I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, anyone can get hurt anywhere at any time. It's really just, there's like multiple levels to this, right? So it's like, do you really need your house in an LLC? Like, do you need one? I mean, I would say yes, but at the end of the day, it's like, if you're just an average person with just one house, and I mean, I do basic trust in estate plans almost every other day. And so do I recommend that for everybody? No, I don't. But if you have 2 or 3 houses and then you're having people live in the second and third one, I mean, liability arises, right? Do you want people coming after that first one? do you want people coming after the second one,
Right.
or the third one? That's why I recommend having them in their own.
Cool. No, makes sense.
Just so it shields the liability.
Yeah.
But also too, like to the other example that I said, it's the next level is having those all owned by another LLC, Wyoming one, where they don't even know who owns that.
For sure. Really just protects you.
Exactly. I mean, that's like the highest of highest level that like where you can get like along the asset protection plan, but it's really not for everybody. Really, I mean, it's multifaceted. You know, it's there's multiple different things. I mean, like if you have your family living in them or living in one, I mean, do you really need it? No, but it's really just to protect you.
Gotcha.
Really. Yeah, it's just so they don't come after everything.
No, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. One thing I'm seeing right now with borrowers and trust related is, and not a lot of people know this, you can actually use trust income. So if you're receiving income from a trust, you can use that to qualify, which is really cool in areas right now, especially when it's harder to qualify. If you have the ability and there's a trust set up for you, we can use that income. You don't have to hide it. One of the biggest regulations that there just needs to be enough funds in that account to continue for up to 3 years. But is that something you can set up with clients as well, if that's something they're interested in and they have a trust that they want to set up?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, that happens more frequently than not, especially here. I mean, you got families that have been in Utah for a long period of time,
for sure,
and they want to make sure their kids are set up, right? And so that's why, like, the good part about having a trust is that you can give out those distributions,
for sure,
you know, throughout. Especially if you have assets within that trust that are producing income,
right?
Then you could distribute them out during the life of that trust, and after too. Yeah, exactly. And so like that's a main thing for you. I mean, like your clients want to show that, hey, like I'm receiving X amount of money a month under my family's trust. I mean, if there's things that they need to consider, like whether it's set up correctly and things like that. You can't just set up a shield, but if it's set up correctly, I mean, that's like a perfect way for someone to receive income.
Cool. I love it. So if anyone's interested in looking into any of these options, what's the best way to contact you or the process? What would you advise?
You can reach out to us at rcglawgroup.com. You know, I'm taking consultations. We could just hop on a call and just, if you have any questions about, you know, where you might be at, right? Like, what strategies are best for you if you're, you know, $500,000 person or in assets, or you're over 5 million, or there's, if you're over 13.
Is there a certain number of assets that you should have before looking into this, or even if you're just any homeowner look into it? What's your advice there?
Well, like right now, the 2024 estate tax exemption is 13.41 million or something like that.
Gotcha.
And so if you're over that, then you have to start worrying about estate tax when you pass away. If you're a married couple, it's that times 2, right? And so you're able to get that exempted. So it's really, if you're a high net worth person with a lot of assets over the 13 million mark and you're single, you really have to start worrying about, okay, how do I set this up? I got to start putting things into different charities. You're gonna have to max out your annual exemption per year for gifting, things like that. I mean, we can get more specific, but hey, we can get more specific when you guys reach out during a call, because everyone's different.
For sure.
But I do recommend a trust can be for everyone. So you could reach out at rcglawgroup.com, or you can send me an email at manny@rcglawgroup.com.
Perfect. Sounds good. And we'll put his contact information in the description as well. But thank you for being here.
Of course,
and
man. Thank you.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for tuning in. For more industry insights, follow us on all platforms at Loans Elevated.
And to get in touch with our team, call or text 801-713-4000 or visit loanselevated.com.